We're having a time. I don't know if we're going to get a lot of workshop done, but we're going to have fun. And too bad for you. You're out there. Now, all of you that are out there in the Google Hangout land, you can ask questions. We've activated the Q&A. And we have somebody hiding in the basement who will convey your questions.
Oh, give him a name.
It's Alton. Alton is hiding in the basement. He will convey your questions. He is. He's helping us. Helping us here today. I'm glad everybody made it here today. I'm sure actually we've got other people who are going to be joining us maybe later in the day. Or maybe right in the middle of the hangout. If they show up, you know, we'll just all say hi. And it'll be good. Wow. I thought today that we would start by taking a look at the game, bust it out, push it around a little bit, play a little bit of the latest module because it's incorporated some new things into it. Okay, and this is going to be probably the worst playing of this game ever. Because we're going to just stop and talk about stuff in the middle of it. Okay, talk about the structure of it, how we achieve it, and the best way, some best practices. Okay, we're going to be doing this first for our first afternoon sessions, and then what I'd like you to keep in mind here in terms of workshop, we're going to break for a couple of hours, give you guys a chance to have something to eat and give me a chance to reset.
Oh, and there are snacks in the other room. Bring food in the other room.
Bring food in the other room if you need it. You guys at home, get your own. Yeah, get your own broccoli. Drive down to Costco and get one of the things. You'd be right with us. You know. But what I'd like you to do over the dinner period, and you haven't done so already, is I'd like you to just write an encounter for the game. It can be for the game that you're working on, or it can be for just something that comes in your head. But I'd like for us to answer the doorbell. No, I would like for us, when we get into the evening session, to specifically talk about ways to convert what you want to tell into game. Not only structurally, but even down to some of the mechanics of how to get it engineered properly and built properly. Hi Pam.
Hi.
Come here, come sit in our corner.
Awesome.
You sit in the corner.
Okay. Everybody, this is Pam.
This is Pam.
Hi, Pam. I'm not the only person.
Yeah. We met at the signing.
Yes.
That's right. The signing. That is so beautifully put, too. Yeah, we did sound glamorous. It's much better than saying we met in the parking lot of a miniature golf course. In the rain.
Standing under the hatchback.
Yeah, standing under, trying to shelter ourselves under the hatchback of my car. As I was, hi, come in, come in. We will do some introductions very, very quickly. I'm Tracy. And that's Laura.
Hi.
And our daughter Tasha's in the kitchen. And Alton is in the basement taking questions. Yeah, and he's in the back. And you are?
I'm Jerry D. Brandt.
Okay. And Jerry Brian. Jerry and Brian. Welcome. Welcome. We thought about getting name tags for everybody.
We should have. We thought about doing convention tags. You know,
I am Bruce, a Brooke, a Brian.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting. Dr. Seuss will have it.
Julia, Anna, Ryan. Yeah.
Get to work on that, sweetheart. Before we get into this, think Alton just painted. Before we get into this, though, does anybody here have some specific questions about the game that you'd like answered here at the workshop? Other than what? Or why?
Those are appropriate questions.
They are good
If you have
questions.
them.
If you've got them, go ahead and ask them. But
For round 2,
yes.
talking about the conversion from the story to EPUB format,
Mhm.
it took me a lot of time, and I'm wondering if there's a lot of an easier way to do it. So
We will answer that
that
question.
seems like a round 2 question.
It is. It's a round 2 question, but that's an excellent question. We do need to. Yeah. How do you get it from concept to actually functioning? Yeah, and I think that's an excellent question. Next question. No, really, that is a round 2 question. Yes.
When playing the game and you're using the cards to affect the die roll, if I'm the initial player and Laura is number 2, and so I have moved, and Laura then comes in to land on my square.
Mm-hmm.
So do we, before the other players, so the 4 of us in the game, before the other second or third and fourth players take their move, we have to resolve ours, or does everybody move, and wherever you end up, then you resolve?
We have always played it that whenever someone lands on my space, we resolve it
At that point.
At that point, yeah. And that very often results in a cascade.
Yes. Then I don't feel bad. Okay.
Yeah, don't feel bad.
And then you go, whose turn was it?
Whose turn was it? Who started this? That's actually usually how it's put.
Yeah.
Who started this? And it's a good question, actually.
Because if the other person, if the third and fourth player haven't moved, they can get caught up in it, depending what happens. And regardless of what happens, if I bump you and we end up in another situation, and you bump the third person, then the third person still has their move.
In earlier designs of the game, in the earlier designs of the game, you would bump people wherever you went, including on the location spaces on the corners and in the center of the board. And which toward the end of the game meant that it just went forever. People just keep moving, and which, while there was a certain amount of excitement in that, and I guess that was fun for somebody. That actually is the primary reason why the location spaces are not bumpable, why those are free spaces, so that there is an opportunity for everybody to reach a stable state at some point in the bumping modes.
And you can even have more than one person on the same location space because of that very thing.
Exactly, which is how that resolves, especially toward the end of the game. One of the things that I love about the game is the board getting smaller as the game progresses, and it speeds the end of the game, especially when you're on a hunt for a specific piece. It also has a wonderful quality of self-balancing, because it has a built-in catch-up feature on the board. Those are all things that I really love about the game. So yes, in answer to your question, yeah, you resolve it at the moment, at least in the basic game.
Yeah.
As all of you know, one of the wonderful things and one of the terrible things about the game is that you can rewrite the rules. And we're finding actually that we've been doing so. We did so a little bit in the last adventure that we wrote, which is what we're going to be playing. But yes, that's at least how we initially perceived it, is you resolve it at the moment so that it can cascade, and that can really mess people up. But at the same time, it adds a very nice interactive ability in the game. It lets people directly affect each other on the board. One of the reasons that we wrote this game was, interestingly enough, because of Arabian Nights. Have any of you played Arabian Nights? Okay. Arabian Nights, wonderful game. We played it back in 80s when it first came out, and it was very much a game designer's game. The two games that we played back then were Arabian Nights and Cosmic Encounter. That's what. But the problem, and then the Z-Man games produced a newer version more recently, a couple of years back, that was a much improved version. It was a lot cleaner version, but it still would take 6 or 8 hours to play, and I didn't have that much time anymore. And so we wanted a storytelling board game that would play in a shorter period of time. So achieving that has
And still be very satisfactory as a story.
and still be satisfying as a story.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping actually to help you to do. One of the things, and the reason I brought it up is because one of the things about Arabian Nights was that whether you were playing with 6 people or whether you were just, sitting at home in the dark with just playing it by yourself, it had about the same level of interaction with the other playing pieces and with everybody else. I mean, you did your move and you did your thing and you told your story, and then the next person did their thing, and there wasn't a lot of interaction between people. We felt like that was not enough game, that the board itself needed to have interaction, that the game had to have interaction among the characters. What we're hoping to achieve, and what we're hoping that you will achieve in your designs, and what we ultimately are hoping to achieve in our designs, is that level of interaction in the story that we see inside the game and in the play of the game, which is why we're all here, bring the find other ways to do that. So that was a long explanation for your very easy question. Is there any other questions before we get on?
And we had a situation come up. We were just doing the basic handout that came with the game, and I believe I was sent from a location to the same space that she was on. Were we supposed to duel at that point, or just sit there together?
As sweet as that is, now you duke it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
You always duel if you're not on location.
Always duel it. Always duel if you're not in the location.
Okay.
Which is sad because you can't meet in the woods. Well, actually, you can. The forest is a location space.
Yeah. So go to the location.
Yeah. But on a story disc space, always duel, unless you change the rules. Okay. Let's take a look at the game. We're gonna bust the game out here. We've got a lot of us, but I think that we can all. Okay. Let's see. Rules.
Guidelines.
More like a guideline.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the thing about the game, of course, is that you can't change the rules. But as I've so often reminded people, before you can break the rules, you have to know the rules.
Right.
You have to understand the rules.
Kind of like writing.
Kind of like that, yeah. A lot like that. One of the things that and it happened every time that we did we're teaching writing seminars. There's always somebody in the group who wanted to be the rebel, who wanted to push the boundaries and break free of the rules of convention, and this stuff was just always awful. It wasn't that we were against them breaking the rules. The problem was that they didn't understand the rules in the first place or why they existed. And so they didn't know when breaking the rules made sense. Mostly they just wrote unidentifiable words, stuff, just stuff. So, so one of the things that we do want you to break the rules. We want you to rewrite things. We want you to take new directions in the game. It's why we built the game the way we did. We constructed it specifically so that you could do that. But before we get to that point, we need to understand how the rules work. So,
As you're setting that up,
yeah, go
can
right
I
ahead.
follow up on Brooke's question?
Certainly.
So we go from a location spot, and I end up on Adam's place, and we duel it out, and Adam moves, and he ends up on the disc that has not been turned over.
Mm-hmm.
Do you automatically turn a disc over whenever you land on it, or in the situation coming off of a duel like that, when it was Brooke's move originally, it forced him over to Adam. Adam then was knocked. He had to end up on a disc that's unflipped.
Mm-hmm.
Does he then flip that disc?
Yes, but he might not get to pick it up.
Exactly. So if in fact it does flip and it's his color, he can't pick it up till it's his turn.
That's right.
Bingo, thank you.
Unless somebody might pop him off, which would be terribly rude.
I have something like
Does that mean that you can? Does that mean that you can pick up your piece before you even roll the die? Is that an option?
You have to end
The
up-
rule
you have to end up-
sequence is that you have to end the movement, and then you have the story round, and the story round is when everything's picked up.
Okay, now if he's already taken his turn in the story round.
Yes, and he ends and is pushed onto his own color disc.
Can he pick it up, or does he have to move and lose it, basically?
Maybe.
Because then what the advantage is to be last, not first.
In fact, it's one of the reasons, it is in fact one of the reasons that the lead player token rotates. So that whoever is in the lead actually must move first, which is a disadvantage.
So you could then, theoretically, you could pick up 2 tokens in one turn.
Theoretically, yes.
But potentially, I should say.
Potentially,
Potentially, you could do it.
Yes.
If you got pushed there before your turn in the story round.
No, if you got pushed there after your turn.
But the rule set then,
Yeah, it'd have to be before your turn because you only pick it up on your turn. So if you're pushed there after your turn, you can flip it, but you can't pick it up because you've got to move first.
That would be true.
So then you could only get 1 in a turn.
Yeah, you could flip multiple, but I think.
Yeah, you can flip multiple. When your turn comes around to pick up, you have to be on the spot.
Right, but if you get pushed there before your story turn,
Yeah.
then well, it's still only 1 though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still
Because you
only
pick it
one
up on your
that I
turn.
looked at.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just gonna say, I noticed some of you were parked on the side of the house. That
Yes.
is actually no parking zone.
Okay, I'm in.
oh, see, you didn't understand the rules.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's one of those things they did.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh, is it trip?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ally.
I'm gonna wait for them to tell me what they're not going to do.
Oh, good. Oh, well, if anyone wants water or snacks,
That would be.
That'd be a good thing.
that would be the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I cleared the
I should
room,
have just
honey.
parked in
Rather than
the
gotten started.
driveway.
That was it? Those are all the questions everybody had?
As far as the stack discs, it's optional, which if you play like 6-player game and some sections have 2 discs on them, the player landing there gets to select which disc, or does it the top disc?
They get to turn the disc. They can turn either disc.
So they can select from either one, which one they're going to flip.
Yes,
Top
they
or bottom.
they do have to turn one though. So if one's already turned up,
Then they have to turn.
they have to turn the other one as well.
Okay.
Are you okay with the screen?
So you can actually have 2 of them turned up on one space there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And which again, one of the important things is to make sure that the game continues to move. You don't want the mechanics to get in the way of people playing, or slowing down the game.
Mhm.
And that you can easily do that
which one becomes the one that affects their turn? Say they land on a particular section that has their color.
Mm-hmm.
They turn one over that's not their color, which would be, normally they would, take a card or whatever, but they want to pick up a chapter disc instead. They still have to flip the one over. So do they get to choose to pick the chapter disc up, or do they have to play off the one that they flipped over?
They can choose either one.
Okay, so as long as they're both flipped over, they can choose either one.
As long as they're both flipped over, they can choose either one. Because, again, for me, the important thing is that the game continue to move. That we not that we do everything we can to keep the game moving ahead. We don't want it to bog down in mechanics. So we want to push it forward. That's especially true because we really want the game to play in an hour to an hour and a half. And we want it that way because we want people to play this game with their families. Especially for people who are into hobby gaming. I have a basement full of games that no one will play with.
It's really hard. It's a lot of those old war games with the little tiny chips.
Avalon Hill.
Avalon Hill, Squad Leader, yes. No one will play these with me. I have a wonderful World War II game downstairs, Tide of Iron by Fantasy Flight. It's gorgeous. I sit around at the weekends and push the little figures around and just me. It's kind of it's really pathetic. I mean, so we want this to move. But at the same time, we want to be able to satisfy the complexities that people want. It's why we put the symbols on the dice, so that you can have the ability to use a dice combat system. I'm actually going to be using the dice as a combat system in one of the next adventures that I do. Years and years and years ago, I played a Traveler game that became legendary in our household, and it was and Laura likes that. Traveler, as many of us know, is often referred to as accountants in space, but let's give it props. It was the one game that you could die during character creation, but
There's a T-shirt out like that now that says, "I died during character creation in Traveler."
But the game was a derelict, haunted spaceship. And why was it haunted, and what happened to everybody on board? And it had some weird stuff in it. And I want to do an adventure. I want to do a Sojourner Tale based on that, kind of an alien-esque horror sci-fi. I had, when I was very young, late one night, I saw I'm sorry, I have to play with the coin.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just cool. I saw a science fiction adventure late one night on public television, like at 2 in the morning, and it wasn't until years and years later, in fact, just like last year, that I found out it was called Valkyrie, and it was a Czechoslovakian science fiction film made in 1963.
Oh wow.
Whoa.
Wow. Yeah. But and I've since downloaded it. I mean, you can find it online. It's there. And it's but there was a section in it where they found this derelict spacecraft and they went on board, and everybody was in like dinner dress in a vacuum. And they were all perfectly preserved in the vacuum and cold of space, right? And I thought, how awesome is that? And they found the captain, and he was sitting in his chair, and they went and they touched the captain, and his face came apart. in zero gravity.
Oh,
And it freaked me out. I thought, that is so cool. And so I had to do something about it. So I'm going to be doing, I want to do this science fiction. And so I built this traveler game based on that. That one scene that freaked me out so bad as a teenager. And now I want to do an adventure. So the adventure that I'm doing with that, I want to build it as a cooperative story where you play against the board. So which means we have to build a clock into it, right? What we'll probably do for a clock, these are all things, by the way, you can use in your own adventures. That's why we're here, right? One of the things we're considering is the Destiny deck as a clock. As you know, as you go through the game, you said, well, you need to draw a good card, you need to draw a bad card, you need to draw a chaos card, right? Well, you have to draw down to a specific card. If you ask people to draw down to a bad card, you have to burn a lot of cards to get down to there. And if we build the timer into the Destiny deck, then if you exhaust the Destiny deck, we would just have it as a rule. If you exhaust the Destiny deck, then you go to a 600 entry, which is a you are screwed entry.
Game over.
Game over. You have been eaten. You know, sort of thing. Or quite possibly it would be like some sort of final horrible confrontation entry sort of thing. And there may be a combat that takes place at that point where you at least have a slim chance of beating this thing, as opposed to, say, earlier, like 500 level encounters, where your chances of beating it are much better, depending on how you flow down through the matrix. So this is initial setup for 4 people. 5 or 6 players in the game tends to be much longer, and I prefer shorter games. And so one of the rules that we put in here is in a 5-player, 6-player game that you start not on the 100 levels but on the 200 level story descriptions, and whoever picks up their first disc just automatically does, or you can have it, as we often do, whoever is the lead player to begin with, they make the decisions on the level 1s, and everybody just starts with 1 on their card. Does that make sense?
You can play it the other way, right? But it just takes.
You can, but it takes a lot longer, and I just don't have that kind of patience. I just want to get on with it.
Changes the mechanics.
Yeah.
well, it is your game. You can play it however you like.
That's quite true. And in fact, some people get in the middle of the game with me and they'll say, how does that work? And I make something up. So,
The trick is to do it quickly so they don't think that you're done.
exactly. And to come up with a title for the rule that sounds official, that seems like it came out of the rule book.
This is the I've been screwed rule.
Yeah.
Right, got it.
Yeah, exactly. This game, in fact, I've got to grab something here really quickly. Excuse me. Talk amongst yourself.
I'm just thinking out one of my favorite, the names of one of my favorite rules is from Cosmic Wind
I did.
Yeah.
Well,
Out.
pretty
You
much.
may not
my-
want to,
my
but
brother's
we
designing
must.
some
That's the rule.
extra pieces to put on.
Right. So that's mine eventually.
Yeah, like for special locations.
Cameron, you play Cosmic?
But the story's all, and I actually have the
It's just a
up here.
simple game.
So
You
I
have
have
to
the-
shut it on
I have
it.
mine all.
At one point. But you can take it with you, can't
Oh,
you? You have to find your own playing pieces.
Yeah.
And then you gotta roll 35 if all these crazy little dice you got in order to get onto the board. You might get into it. I can't remember, it's the center
We're
of
up here. The
Wow.
the standard
First one.
roll set, or did you?
I think we did.
I did.
Or did.
It's like each,
We never know what was bad.
Yeah.
That's
That's
true.
cards representing a particular person.
That's cool.
I hope I can read
Oh,
it.
that's cool.
I got a pair of reading.
I've got a pair of reading glasses too.
Awesome.
Laura will find them for me. She always does. The terrible thing about glasses, you can never find them.
I have several pairs all over the house.
Thank you. Say hello to Tasha, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. She was just on the internet for a moment.
A small second.
That was it. That was her claim to fame. Oh, thank you.
That's why we have wives, right?
Yes, it is. Well, and for many other things.
Bless your heart.
Okay, this is, we've got the setup, right?
Right.
Okay, Adam, why don't you take a part? Why don't you take green? Okay. You hate green, don't you? Take yellow
Just
then.
scroll there on in random color.
Pick a color at all. You're first. You can choose. Yeah, we'll make you lead player.
After we just discussed that that's what you don't want.
Loser.
I can choose as green.
All right, I'll do green.
Oh, yeah, fine. Start in the middle. Leave it right there. Okay. Who's going to be yellow? I can be
One of
yellow.
the guys on the couch, folks.
Yeah.
One of the people on the couch.
Oh, somebody, who's going to be yellow?
Oh,
Julie.
I was gonna be blue.
You can be blue. I'll be yellow.
Be red.
Okay. All right. You'll be red. Everybody else will
Liking
kibitz. That happens a lot.
Pick for Brock.
Okay.
Pick for Brock. Pick for Brock.
Today's adventure. You know how weird it is reading your own stuff?
It is weird.
It is weird.
Tell us the story, Uncle Tracy.
Have it up.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, this is, oh, all right. This is our latest, newest adventure.
The music one?
The music one.
Yeah.
The music one. Yes, exactly. The musical one. Although we're not going to sing any of the music.
Oh, you know.
I know she's here. We could have her come in and sing some of it. But okay. Yes. Okay. Now we have new rules. It says new rules. See instructions. Which, when I do this here on my iPad, the new rules. See the instructions is on page 2, which is probably a bad thing.
Yeah.
Actually, it's here on the page 2 because I want my type really big. So, okay. It says here, we need a timer for this game. Fortunately, provided in your Sojourner Tales game. Blank pieces of paper we have. Pencils we have. Okay. Whenever narrators are referenced, they are always the lead player. Other players take parts as they come up. I can just feel the excitement in the air.
Well done.
Mm.
I'm not
I'm
waiting
sure
for
we'll
the
see.
sunshine, Tracy.
Now, despite what it says here, we've actually made a change in this game. We made a change in this game, all you people on the internet, pay attention. This is errata. That's what we call it. Yeah. Or if you're from the south, it's errata. If you're from the north, it could be errata, but it's okay. Whenever it says in the rules that you turn over the timer, it actually is a competition. Whenever it says you're going to turn over the timer, anybody can turn over the timer when they want to. Okay? And then everybody else has to finish by the time the timer's out. It's a cool mechanic, I think.
Timer runs what, about 1 minute?
No, it's about 30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds even.
Yeah, get it
Okay.
done. Okay?
Wow.
Okay, so having played the song, fine. Johnny knew he flew down the road in his Millennium Ford Falcon, the fence post rushing past at the speed of light. His fellow adventurers snored softly in the back seat. Behind him in the darkness lay his life in Moab, Utah, along with the mundane life he led and the girlfriend that had just dumped him. His eyes were set on the glowing horizon ahead, calling him to the destiny that he'd been dreaming of since he first picked up a set of polyhedral dice, the last Con Super Geek convention. Awesome.
Is
Very.
this called the last con?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure I got the names right. Sounded like it.
I'm sorry. It's not, the title's kind of Okay, so we rolled the move. Then you were gonna be lead player, right? That's what I said, you're the lead player, yeah.
That's the dice round.
I'm gonna-
That's the
I'm
dice.
gonna-
Everybody take a die. Who else?
See, I forget what.
Take this
None of
off.
So is this,
Oh, God, don't go to
Are
sleep.
you one of the?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And we've got one more for somebody.
We got plenty of dice here, I
Okay.
got mine.
All right. Oh, somebody got one. Hey. All right.
Okay, I got 5.
You can move anytime you want. Oh,
3.
he moves first, we have to move in turn.
Okay, we'll wait for you.
Interesting.
Yeah, I actually considered that.
We tried it.
We've tried it.
Just-
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Now.
Since you're not waiting
There
to see.
comes
if
one.
you can land on
Important.
it, if you wanna do it.
Right.
Yeah, but when there's only 2 of you.
Yeah, that's
Who
true.
knows? Someone knows.
The dual mechanic out of the
And
game.
you
That
try
was
to-
the first one to take those out. It's something we had to do.
Aha. Yellow.
Yellow.
Fortunately, I'm yellow. Yes, I am, but unfortunately, I rolled a 1, which means that this is as far as I can go. Oh, yeah, location, fine, your turn.
Oh, I'm right there with you, I think.
Are you really?
Mhm.
You wanna go to there, or you wanna go to a different one?
Oh, can I go to a different one?
Any old one you want.
Any one you want.
Okay, well, I'll just go there.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go 1, 2, 3.
What?
That is a bizarre move, but okay. All right, lead player, where are you?
Over there.
You're not on anything that makes any sense, so we just pass you right up.
Well,
where am I?
Don't you get a chance to draw?
Along the
a
line,
destiny card?
Oh,
as long as you don't cross over more than 3 diamonds. So I went
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
sweet.
And you only, yeah. you get that
So
one.
doesn't he get a chance at a destiny card if so desired?
Yes, you can have a destiny card if so desired.
Actually, I crossed 3 diamonds because they crossed
Just
one.
because you-
Or this one.
Because
Yeah.
Because you used your
Because-
God.
Just because, yeah, you're
But it
probably
was
like a
also,
bad
I
card.
had 3 on the dice. So.
Ooh, well, let's see.
Lore +1.
Hang on to that, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
Makes you smart.
Yeah.
I'm yellow, I'm on A. Here,
Yes.
it's a location, touch location.
Okay.
And I'm on A, so touch A. And what does it say?
Dealer room.
I bet I have to roll a die,
Yep, roll 1 die and add the current chapter number to the roll.
which would be
One.
4.
Ooh.
No, 4, I rolled a
You
3.
get lost among the vendor booths.
I do all the time.
Move to the real dragon location in the middle of the board.
I just came from there. Yay!
Well, you found a place you know, right?
Yeah, it's comfortable here. All right, you pick up the book,
Yep.
and she's at C.
So you gotta go back one.
Okay.
Darn. Main menu. Locations. C. I bet she gets to roll a die too.
Main stage.
Ooh. Roll a die.
Okay, roll 1 die.
Okay.
And
Not that.
add the current chapter number.
Oh, I bet you get to come to the middle too.
So it's 4. You're not sure you can even see the stage from the seats.
Oh.
Draw a chaos or bad destiny card.
So you draw until you get.
You draw until you get, oh, a bad one.
Oh, I got one right
Oh, lucky you.
That is like the worst bad destiny card
there.
ever.
Oh,
So Rita, get it.
it may not pick up a chapter disc until you're no longer cursed. So keep until another card or event causes you to discard this card.
Now,
Oh.
normally when people get this cursed card,
Mhm.
they throw the board over and go home.
We wanted to a couple of times.
Yeah, this actually is my wife's reaction whenever she gets the cursed
I
card.
did not ever do that. I just want
Not cross the
I
line.
said wanted, not did. However, the important rule that people forget here is that you can only have one bad card at a time.
So you can substitute. Next
So
turn.
if you pull another destiny card and it is a bad card, usually the cursed card is the only persistent bad card. And so if you pull another bad card, you can dump the cursed card and actually have to dump one of the two cards.
Yeah. So are there, in the categories, I haven't got the rules in front of me, is there only one? There's the indifferent, there's the blessed, the one with the arrows.
That's chaos.
Yeah, the one with the chaos is
Is
chaos.
that a cursed card?
No, a bad card has the skull and crossbones.
Yeah, so it is only the skull and crossbones.
That's right.
Chaos can be good or bad.
A blessed
Right.
card can let you lose any kind of status, which is a great thing for a cursed card. But at the same time, if you get a bad card that is like a one-turn thing, then you take that bad card, dump the cursed card, do the one bad thing, and then you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually a really important rule in terms of game balance because if you hang on to this cursed card, it's like, oh, you can't win.
You're stuck here forever.
Yeah, ever. And fortunately, of course, Pam's drawn it on the first turn.
Right, yeah.
So you get rid of it soon. You want
Okay. All right. So you're here today again too. I bet you get to roll a die also.
2 plus 1 is 3.
Well, at least it's not 4.
Occasions, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you roll the dice out of the chapter, so you get 3.
Yep.
The dealer room is closed. At least you won't have to think about it. Nothing happens.
Actually, at a convention, it's a good thing.
We got locked in.
All right. Hey, guess what? You need to do that. It's movement phasing.
Okay.
Lead player person. Oh, that's. I know where you're going. Oh, more yellow.
Yeah.
And I get
1.
1. Okay, let's.
Because if you gotta get
Yeah,
those yellows, that's where you gotta
I
go.
gotta get the yellows.
Okay.
2. Ah, okay.
All right.
Oh, that's that.
Is that 4?
Lucky.
Come
Come on.
on.
You can make that. You can make that
2,
move, but you can't
3.
enjoy it.
That's right.
Ooh.
Oh, ah! Ooh, ah.
Like
All
I
right,
said,
lead
you
player,
can't
you
enjoy
turn
it.
this over, lead player turns that over. Anybody loses glasses. I think that's a move. Okay, your story. You got nothing. You can draw another destiny card.
Now, should the lead player have switched?
Lead players, there's no.
Nobody has any tokens yet.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Until you get
Wow, you're smart.
Another plus.
Another point. Yes. I am once again. Yeah, we're already at the dealer room. Fine. I roll something other than a. Okay.
This could be a long game.
And you can go ahead and take a destiny card if you want.
Adam, we're
And
depending
yes,
on
I
you.
think you should.
Get this.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything to lose with this.
Exactly.
Okay, lower 3.
Also, those are fine.
Those are good. Keep that. You're very smart, but you're cursed.
Yeah.
That happens.
Okay, now it's your turn. You pick up your disc. So we go to 1.
All right.
Epic story event. 1, and you pick a 1 of 3. Now this is actually part of design that you need to understand. You can make this as complicated as you want. Okay. Don't. just don't. Okay. we have here, the rules say the player chooses 1 to 3, right? Okay, the nasty secret here is that 1, 2, and 3 are really the same encounter. They're essentially encounter 12, 1, 2, or encounter 11, 1, 1. Okay, but there are 3 variations of encounter 11, and the reason for that is, again, this is kind of a secret, nasty secret. Okay, the nasty secret is that when you ask people, do you want choice? They always answer yes. If you ask people if more choice is better, they always answer yes. But when you provide people with a choice between one and another thing, between 2 things, they can make a decision. If you ask them to make a decision about 3 things, it becomes very hard for them to choose. If you ask them to make a choice between 4 things, they find it nearly impossible to make a choice.
Interesting.
It's, I very highly recommend a book called The Paradox of Choice that is specifically about this. That people want choice, but when it comes to making choice, if they have more than 3, it is nearly impossible. They become locked up in their head as to what choice to make. This is, marketing uses this quite a bit against you. They'll say, well, now you can have this shiny, expensive thing or this cheap, tawdry thing.
Door number 1, door number 2.
Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, and never more than
Right.
because they will not be able to make a choice. And this is especially true in games. One of the problems, of course, with the initial move on the board is you can go anywhere. The first move on this board is very difficult for people to make because they can go anywhere. And everyone is deathly afraid of making the wrong move. Okay? One of the things that you might consider doing in your own games, I haven't implemented in my games yet, but it may be something that you want to implement in your own game, is instead of having everybody start in the middle, have everyone start on a location at the corners. It limits their initial choice to 2. You can either take the shortcut or you can go down the path.
Or you can go to the center. They're actually.
Or you can go to the center, and now it's getting really complicated. Now it's hard to choose. Okay? We're here at this point, and Brooke, you've taken the first piece. We give you 3 choices because we don't want to give you any more than 3 choices. But the reality is that we're actually taking you to 1 encounter, 1, 1, number 11. Okay? But there are 3 incarnations of number 11. And these 3 incarnations of number 11 each offer you one of 3 or each offer you a pair of 3 choices. Either A, B in 1, A, C in 2, or B, C in 3. So these 3 encounters offer you 2 choices each, which lead to 3 different outcomes.
Having the variety is nice. We came up with a situation where she got the same encounter 2 times, and was able to pick I think 2 on the first one and 1 on the second. So it was 2, 2, 2 and 2, 2, 1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I mean,
that
it gives
variety
you
is
just
nice.
enough variation so that you can get out of the loop
Right.
if you need to, right?
Yes.
and go somewhere else and keep the interest.
I'm not stuck in that field forever.
And we get stuck in the field. And in fact, I mean, one of the things you need to know is that the adventure that's included in the game is the prototype adventure. I mean, it's the first thing we designed. And we've learned a lot since then in terms of design. You here, and yeah, you people I know, have the opportunity to take this then and move the art forward. Because you are going to discover things in your own designs that we have not anticipated. And that's why it's so exciting for us to have you involved in this. We're going to teach you what we know about the game. You, in turn, as you move forward, are going to teach us new things as well, and each other. So, we come to this in kind of 1, 2, or 3. You have.
I'll take the 1, so it's 1, 1, 1.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh,
It was the last con Super Geek convention. The object of fanatical pilgrimage for every gamer, LARPer, cosplayer, wargamer, trekker, browncoat, and otherwise specialized media geek in the known universe. And quite possibly a number of unknown universes and dimensions as well.
Cool.
Johnny Newby parked his long-distance vehicular space transport in an overpriced garage. But one does not lightly enter the gates of such wonders and glory. One must first bypass the guardians of those gates. Johnny was soon confronted with a nameless throng of hopeful geeks all shuffling in gulag-like lockstep in something called the registration and event ticket lines. Johnny was uncertain of what challenges were ahead and wondered at the thoughts of those who were in line with him. LARP challenge. Have each player, in turn, tell what they are thinking about while they are in line. The person who gives the most entertaining random thought is given the lead player token immediately, and they then read.
okay.
We're thinking about in line right now.
What we're thinking about in line right now.
I'm thinking, this is the last con ever. I better have a great time here. And by darn, I hope I find somebody to replace that girlfriend.
I'm mesmerized by the guy in the Superman suit up there. He looks pretty spandex.
I need to know where the bathroom is.
I'll be in my butt.
Good luck.
I should never have had that big gulp.
Should have stopped at the rest stop on the way instead of coming straight to the con.
That's right. So, who's the lead player?
Well,
I'm going to go with Pam.
I was gonna say,
I thought it was Superman.
Yeah, Superman.
Okay, you're a lead player, and you get to read now from down here.
Okay. John Newby, our hero, determinedly stood in line with his friends. Rosencrantz, Guildenstern,
And Phil.
Phil.
Then he just picked up his badge when suddenly he was distracted by. And now, what do I do with these three?
Okay, it was his turn. It's still his turn,
Okay.
so he has to choose between those.
A, B, and C.
He gets 3 choices. Yeah.
We'll go with B.
Well, you ought to probably hear what they are.
Oh, yeah, let's hear what they
I
are.
appreciate the enthusiasm, but I wrote this stuff, and I kind of want to hear it.
Okay, no, I wasn't sure if there was actually a text
Gotcha.
or not.
Okay. A charming young woman in elf ears, a gown and sneakers in line who is actually smiling at him. Or B, a chainmail cosplay goddess of statuesque beauty and completely impractical armor. Or C, Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, and Phil being lured away by the siren call of the dealer and autograph hall.
Oh, boy. Boy, this is a difficult one. We'll go with the first.
Okay, charming young woman.
Charming young woman.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep,
Thanks, babe.
absolutely.
Okay.
What does it say?
Chapter is if player chooses a chapter marker 2 and a scene marker 1. Draw a good or chaos destiny card.
Okay.
Is it good?
No.
Is it chaotic?
No.
Then
Then we keep
oh, that
going.
is a good card, though.
Oh, that's a good card?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's considered.
It's considered a good card.
Okay.
Remember, there's the
That's right, that's right. It's the scroll or the sword.
swords.
Right, okay, so
So
first
Tracy,
one.
we only
Okay.
have 3 scenes in each chapter, approximately. Does the rule hold for that, or?
Well, it pushes down through matrix.
Right.
So when you get down, and it depends on how you build it, okay? In mine, I like to start at one place and then branch. And so we come down to second chapter and we have about approximately three. We've chosen that now, so we've got the chapter marker is essentially across the matrix.
Mhm.
So we've moved from the first level down to 2, chapter 2, second level, where we have 3 possible outcomes here, 3 possible sections here in 2. And of which there will be 3 subsets each, right, for the 1, 2, and 3. But they're essentially the same chapter. They're essentially the same scene, just with different options. 3 options.
Different options, yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the confusing things I think that people have had in terms of design. Is they feel like, oh my gosh, I have like 3 outcomes here, and I have to write 3 separate scenes for each of those 3 outcomes. Now I'm at 9 outcomes here. If I go down another level here, it's going to be. You certainly could write it that way, okay? And if you want to, let me know how that goes. Because I'd be fascinated at the torturous journey that you've taken to get to that.
Like writing 3 books.
Yeah, like that torturous journey, for example. Yes. And what helps here is when you get to these 3 separate options, you can color those 3 separate options in favor of the branching that's happening underneath those. But you don't necessarily have to write a completely new scene. You just make those modifications to the basic scene. Okay? This is going to simplify your life a lot in terms of design. Now, like I said, this is the basic design, right? What you do with that is going to ultimately be up to you. But for your initial adventures, I would recommend that you just do that. That you can start with 1, branch down to 3. From 3, then I would branch down to 4, maybe 5 at this level. But then you need to start tying all of those back together, bringing them back in. Don't keep branching out. You need to start tying the lines back in. We'll see that a little bit, I think, as we go forward. This game, of course, is going to take forever. Okay, so we've made our choices, right? Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's now time for you start because you're the lead player.
Okay.
Because your story was so good.
Yeah. Okay. Do I roll?
Yes, you
Yes.
do.
Okay. Sorry.
Because it's movement time.
So that supersedes the chapter disc that I have. The fact that she told the story, she is lead player for the next turn.
At that, yeah, because we've moved. You were lead player until we read through
Right.
it, and then it moved to her.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good, another yellow one. I'm going to win this game. By the way, people are always suspicious of the designer when he wins the game. Okay.
But first you have to get to them.
That's true. And so far, I'm still in the middle. I haven't gone anywhere yet.
And every one of those is the end of a.
Okay, that's it. I'm rewriting this one. People the designer of the game, if he stays in the middle more than 2 rounds, is allowed to move to any space.
Why can't we just automatically win?
Or just wins.
Yeah.
No, that would. Yeah, okay, that's a good one.
Let's shorten the game.
Yeah, would considerably. I mean, we all go up for pizza. Rick, go ahead.
Okay. 6.
Ooh.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll go there.
Yellow.
Yellow.
No.
Okay. Is there any green ones anywhere
There's
on the
one.
board?
There's
One
one
right
right
there.
there.
Over there.
Are there any blue ones?
Yeah, that's
One. What did you roll?
I got the one.
Okay, so
Oh,
okay,
somebody's gonna have to change the dice.
right.
Now, if you get a 1, we'll know.
2! Wow, I am improving.
I think you should go from one location to the second location.
See, I'm gonna take the shortcut.
Hey, it worked for me.
I am not doing that. 1. Oh, look! 2! Yay! That's not what I would want. Yay! It's now blue's turn. We turn over the story marker. Or the lead player marker. It is now, yes, it's blue time. You are on. It is not your color. You can take a destiny card if you want.
Or you can do a twisted tail.
Well, I can do this. What? But I've got this bad thing.
It's from the-
Yeah,
That's true. So you want a destiny card.
Oh, look at that.
Blessed.
Ah, ooh, oh.
Well, this kind of
So
like
what's
This card's that.
stick out of there.
It's a blessed card.
Ah.
So it's so much for that. I think you have to throw the
Which
blessed
we add
card.
blessed
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, but be happy.
I am happy.
All you gotta do is draw another curse card
So
now.
Twisted Tails are only drawn if you are
If you-
playing catch up.
If you're playing catch up, if you only do a twisted tail if you pick up your color, but you're behind.
Okay,
Oh,
Behind the chapters, yeah.
right.
right.
So it's your move.
Okay,
Where did you end up?
He's on
I
the
ended
side.
up right here.
Oh,
So
yeah, and
I
you know what
picked up
that
this one.
means. Okay.
Wow, look at that.
Okay,
Epic story.
and
2, 1.
yeah,
And the reason it's an epic story is because we're
epic
still on
story.
chapter
1, 2, or 3. 2. Let's go
Yeah.
3.
Well, the chapter's now 2. He's at 2. And
It's-
they're,
It's a 2.
yeah,
It will
it's
be
a
now.
2. Well, it is the chat we moved. Okay, that's also important for you to know in terms of design. When you pick up chapter 1, when you pick up the number 1 disc, the end result moves, it specifically says, moves the chapter disc up to 2.
Yeah.
The reason for that is exactly this, because now if anybody else picks up a chapter disc, they'll be behind and it'll be a twisted tail. Now that we're up to 2, we move the story forward again.
It will go to 3.
And when you get to the result, it's going to move it to 3. Now, what happens in the original game, the original design, is that when you got to 4, since 5 was the win condition, and then all you had to do was get that 5th disc, we had to stop you at 4, right?
Yeah.
And so we had a combat that took place at 4, where you got stuck. And you couldn't, and so when you got to the result at 4, right, if you did not succeed, it would stay at 4, right?
That's right.
It would stay at 4. And even if you, or it would put you back to 3, it would have you put 1 back, okay? Actually, what it would usually do is have you put 1 back. If you kept 4, then your next 5 would be the win.
Right.
And so to keep you from getting to 5, it would have you put 1 back at 4, and put it back, and putting you back to 3. I found that really unsatisfactory in terms of gameplay. I felt it was punishing in terms of gameplay. And so we need to kind of address that in terms of design. But you do need to hold people up. If your win condition is to get to 5, okay, then what you need to do is you need to make sure that they are stuck at 4 until they do something phenomenal. You have to have a catch-up feature at 4, allowing everybody else to move up, okay? What you might do is have obtaining the 5th disc be the stopping point. That the 5th disc is actually an encounter that you have to churn through. And then if you win 5, then you go to 6, which is an actual win condition. But that's a different way of designing it. The way we have this built now is you go to 4, you're held at 4, or dropped back to 3, so you have to keep coming back, hitting 4, until you end your turn retaining the number 4 disc. At which point, if you pick up 5, then you win.
Well, that's the basic matrix.
That's the basic
And
matrix.
there are as many matrices as there are people in this room and beyond.
You've
That's
got to
what you
love a
should
woman who
imagine.
knows the same matrix. Yes.
So then if you lose a disc, you put it back on the board. Wherever you
The
want?
condition is usually stated in the result.
Uh-huh.
It's usually, you can either put it underneath. My least favorite is that you put it underneath where you are, which means you got to find your way back
there.
Another condition that's very common is to say that you have the next person puts it somewhere on the board for you.
Yeah.
And if they're like really tired of the game, they'll put it somewhere really close.
Or underneath your
Or
piece.
underneath your piece. Yeah. That can lead to some ambiguity, but the truth is that the intent is that if it's underneath you, it means you got to go around again.
Right.
So we're back to you at 1 to 3.
1, 2, or 3.
3.
3. Okay.
You meant 1. No.
Johnny Newby smiled back at the lovely girl in the elf ears and was so overcome by the convention that he decided to try and talk to her.
Ooh. Whoa. Whoa.
He smoothly dropped his program book to get her attention. She quickly picked it up and handed it to him. Pass book to Johnny.
You can be Johnny.
And turn page.
And turn page.
Okay. Thanks, I'm Johnny. Pass book to Lena and turn page.
Hi, I'm Lena.
Wow, that was exciting.
Who's the narrator?
He is
Oh,
now.
lead players.
Lead player
Okay,
usually,
pass
but
book
we're
to
gonna give it-
narrator. There you go.
Hi, Lena.
Engulfed by the power of their conversation, the electricity between them was overwhelming.
Wow.
Neither of them could speak, they were so overwhelmed.
Wow, go ahead, Lena.
All right. I've heard that they're going to premiere a new edition of the Real Dragon immersion game at the convention this year. Last year there were so many challenges to the rules set there was nearly a riot.
Okay.
Okay, narrator.
Is what I need.
By which Lena actually meant.
Bye. Let's get coffee. Oh, I really do like you. Do you like me?
What does it say?
You know, I missed all those clues originally. I'm sorry.
To which Johnny said,
I'm way too.
I heard about that, but the new rules for Mary this year is supposed to fix the game balance.
Oh.
Ah.
I don't know.
by which Johnny actually meant.
I heard about that, but the new rules for Mary this year are supposed to fix the game balance. Johnny can be very shallow.
Oh, that's great.
Clueless, I think. is the-
But Johnny noticed that the young elf woman was looking at him in a way that he recognized from the movies. And he could only guess what her thoughts were in that moment. Cue the song. There is no song.
There is no song.
Johnny wondered if their relationship was developing uncomfortably fast, but a sudden roaring sound from the dealer room made him turn around just as the cosplay goddess warrior woman was walking quickly past him. Does Johnny, A, run into the dealer room to find out what all the commotion is about, or B, turn around and follow the statuesque warrior woman?
Johnny will go see what's going on.
In the dealer room? Okay, player chooses A. Chapter marker 3, scene marker 3.
Now,
So that moved the chapter.
that moved the chapter forward, right?
And-
He's
and
at
the-
2.
And the scene marker then allows whatever you want for the
For which,
storyline.
yeah, we've moved down to 3. And then the scene marker is which of these branches that we're following down.
Nice.
In this case, we're following we're going to the dealer room,
Yeah, we're back to
right,
the dealer.
with Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, and
Phil.
Phil.
That's on its Phil.
What I want to stop and point out at this point is one of the things that I really loved about this design is that we got to have people take parts, and we just give them to people, and they just take on the roles, right? The other great thing is because we're using this medium of the book medium, right? The ebook medium, we can have as many pages as we want because it's irrelevant, right? It's an ebook. This could be 100,000 page tome for all we care, which is why we can do a piece of dialogue on a page and it doesn't matter, right? You had no idea what dialogue was coming up. You got to enjoy it as it came, right? And so this is a mechanic that you can use. You can actually build a scene in the game and just have everybody take part in it. Assume a role and have them.
It'd be really good in a historical game.
And historical game or counterfactual game would be a lot of fun because people could take the roles on of the people in the events. Exactly. Exactly.
You need to speak up for the camera.
So,
Oh, yeah, well, I was just talking to you, but.
well, we all do.
There's
There's about 4,000 people out there who heard that. Or it could be 10. I don't know really how many there are. But the point is that this is a different kind of mechanic that you can use here to insert dialogue and scene. One of the things you need to be careful of and wary of in the design is that this is all read aloud, right? And because it's all read aloud, it needs to be really short. You need to think more like a play than long prose sections. This was really hard for me initially, because when I started writing these with Laura, I would want to like create epic prose scenes, you know, in paragraphs, and and then people would go get chips and drinks while I continued reading. But by using dialogue in this way, by creating dialogue to hand out to people during the game, it gets everybody involved.
Right.
Right? And it brings a nice scene alive for people. Plus it was cool and fun. So and it got us, and actually if you think of it in terms of story, it moved the story forward, and it actually provided us with a lot of character depth, well, except for Johnny. But it showed who Johnny was, and it showed the relationship and the different approaches to life between men and women, and how men seem to be clueless about subtext, and when women talk in subtext all the time. This is by using this dialogue technique, you can convey a lot of nice story and a lot of characterization while not boring people to death with long prose. So I recommend this technique. It's a new technique that we just started using in this adventure, but it's one that you'll have a lot of fun writing. You just make sure that they go to a different page every time, whenever they change, right? Hand the book to Lena and then turn the page. Yes.
Now, if we all had this adventure on our tablets, would we just like look it up on our own tablet instead of having it passed around? Or?
You could. In fact, we have considered the idea of, and although we haven't tried it as yet, and I think this would be kind of fun for somebody to do, would be to have like a mystery or an adventure, right? Where everybody downloaded a different part. And so everyone, when okay, what scene are we doing? We're doing 2-3 or 231. And we all go to 231 and we all do scene 231.
And everybody has something a little different.
And everybody has something a little bit different, yes. Or okay, if I were to build it, and please steal this, go do it. It'd be fun. I would build it in cut sheets, so that essentially it said, player 1 speaks, player 2 speaks, player 1 speaks, player 4, and then their dialogue, right? And then player 2 speaks, player 3 speaks.
So you're not revealing dialogue to
So you're
anyone
not,
except
you
the
don't
person who's doing
know what it is until it's all combined, until you all perform it together. Not only that, but wouldn't it be really cool if 231, I say this is my piece of dialogue. 232, I say something a little different as my piece of dialogue. And take it in a different direction or reveal something different. As a murder mystery sort of thing, for example, that would be really amazing.
Or it can give you information that nobody else knows.
Yes, or can give you information that nobody else knows.
So you'd say, this is an adventure designed for 4 players.
Exactly. It's one of the basic problems that you would have with this kind of construction is that you need to do like, here's a 2-player version, here's the 3-player set, here's the 4-player set, a 5-player set. The intricacies of designing that much structure, okay, may not be as big of a problem if you simply say, you know what, this is a 4-player game. If you've got 4 players, you want to play this game. Or we designed this for 3 players. You know, optimally, I'm thinking 4 players is what most people are used to. It's a 2-couple game, which is fine. If you design it as a 4-player and maybe a 6-player set, which would be kind of fun because you've got like the butler and the maid. You know? You can almost incorporate that. My wife's looking at me, but
No,
like
I
her
know,
head's going to explode.
my head exploded a little bit because you,
Butler dialogue.
well, yeah, because you'd be reading like stuff off of the page and you wouldn't have to tell anybody else.
Yeah.
If you were playing,
It's the
It
murder
was-
mystery.
yeah, and if you were playing
Only I like it better.
with the little,
Dice.
no, not the dice,
Timer.
no, the tiles, the little pieces of what do we
The
call them?
MacGuffins.
The MacGuffins. Yes, if we were playing with the MacGuffins, you can have fun with that. Because it'd say, this MacGuffin means this, and if you're holding it, then, yeah.
Then you can, you can
Yeah.
affect things in different ways.
Do not
Yeah.
read this to the other players, but now you
But
know.
now you know that this
And
is,
pick
yes.
up this MacGuffin.
The DM is passing.
If you get this MacGuffin,
Yeah.
then
What's
it
okay?
may, MacGuffins,
Or like-
again, extra pieces that, you know, people open this box and then, what is all this stuff? I never use it. These are the little,
Yeah, all the little fun things.
all the little fun little poking pieces.
MacGuffin because it's a word Alfred Hitchcock used.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It's the thing-
the thing that everybody's after.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's what everybody's at.
Maltese Falcons.
The Maltese Falcon is MacGuffin, exactly.
The golden pearl,
That's the MacGuffin.
the princess.
The princess can certainly be a MacGuffin. Princess MacGuffin. She's got it. What's the princess? I don't know. So what you could do then for this sort of murder mystery would be really interesting because you could like get toward the end, and if you have that particular MacGuffin, the rule may simply say, you know, go to this encounter. And hijack the story off to whatever that actually means. There's so much available to you in terms of ability for design. Yeah. And I love this. I love the idea of being able to have this open dialogue. In fact, I was just thinking you may actually be able to design a 4-6 game in a single set of 4-6. Because what you could then do is, as you go down through it'd be a really interesting dialogue matrix. But as you go through, you might say, player 5 reads this. If player 5 isn't present, you just skip down to the next line.
Bingo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you could do it in a single set and sell it as a single set. But it would make the dialogue very intricate because you would have to then insert 5-6 dialogue that would change meaning of the dialogue of the people who are talking to each other. Wow.
Now my head.
No, yeah, I know.
The way that you can help with that
Mm.
is if you haven't played one of the boxed murder mysteries, in which you have either 4 or 6 characters. The butler, as you said, the butler and the maid are the 5th and 6th characters, and that adds spice to the story, but it's not critical. So you have your 4 players that are critical, and then your extra 2 adds the spice and gives you a couple of extra options. You could then tie that in.
It may, and even within terms of the matrix, I'm just seeing in my head how you might build this. You might build it in terms of the matrix in such a way where you have choice A, choice B, right? Choose A, choose B. But if there's a player 5, 6, you have a C option, which can move the matrix toward the butler or toward the.
If you think at it on visually,
yeah,
across the 4 and 2, you can play the 4 as its box, or you can play the 6 as the rectangle.
Yes.
You could also.
And the storylines are the C type thing.
Yes.
With it not necessarily affecting how the game moves forward, it's more the color of where
Flavor.
the game is or the flavor. It seems as though you really could have parts that said you don't need to read it all because they're really not part of the core piece. But if everyone has to be involved, you just have it basically say the player number to read it, and if that player isn't available, then player 2 reads it or player 1 reads it. But there's a default person that storyline makes sense coming from their mouth. So you either have it not read or you just
move it to another player. Exactly.
So here's an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you wanted in a bigger social setting, like a party like this, but you really only have 4 major players on the board, you could have a master minions to where there are other reading parts. But they all belong to, like, say, one of the players, and so the decisions are, minion number 2 gets to make the decision for the master, what's your next thing. So there's other ways to play the social aspect of the game beyond just who's on the board.
Nice. So, and actually, you're making a really an interesting point that I think we all need to understand, is that there's what's happening on the board, right? The movement and the relationship of the pieces on the board. Then there's what's happening in the story, right? Which is outside of the board, really. The board affects the story, but it's really outside of the story. And anything that we do outside the board, outside the story, is also play. Years ago, Laura and I were toying with a concept we called party flicks. And party flicks was a party, social party, kind of like a murder mystery, but it was about making a movie. And you just use your camcorder with it, and you film it in sequence. Okay, it's called assemble edit. And so what we had is we'd have like cue cards for people, and we'd have very much like we did right here. We actually would have like a guy would be in one room and a gal would be in another room, and we would run back and forth between the rooms filming their pieces of dialogue in cross shots, so that neither of them had any idea what they were actually saying to each other, right? Which is not unlike the way it's done in Hollywood. At least usually they tell the actors what the other dialogue is that they're right. But we would shoot it so that they'd have no idea what the scene was really about. They just have to deliver their lines, and they would just deliver it cold. I mean, we'd say, "Okay, everybody set. Okay, here's your line. We're rolling." And they just deliver it, as best they could. It was usually just dreadful. And then we did the movie we did was called Rocket Ship XL, and Rocket Ship XL, because the medium didn't work. Anyway,
we wanted it to be like a campy 50s science fiction.
Campy 50s science fiction, and so we'd be right with the movie, and then we'd have to do a special effects shot. And so we'd have like black cloth on the kitchen floor with like glitter sprinkled on it. And we'd have like this cardboard rocket with a string, and we'd like pull it along and film it from up above. We had like the meteor shower, right? So we crumple up pieces of aluminum foil and roll it
And the-
toward
yeah,
the
the
cardboard
cast
space.
the
The cast
cast
would be
would be
rolling it, and
throwing-
we film it from
That was
I
so
love
fun.
it. I
And-
love it.
And then, but the cool thing was we filmed it like the first hour, right? And then we'd all pop the popcorn, go in the front room, throw the cassette in and watch it because we finished the movie. And okay. So and the reason I tell you that overly long story is because we did this one evening with our church group. And one of the sisters came and she was very reticent in the beginning. But what I have discovered in the process of this is that some people, when you just turn a camera on them, changes them. And she just got into it. She was the queen of Venus, you know, with the
She
weird
was
headdress.
amazing.
And she was
actor.
amazing.
Who knew? She didn't even know.
On camera, she was amazing. And so, but when we were finished, and I always thought of this woman as really, you know, stuffy and staid. But afterwards, she came up to me and she said, "Thank you for letting me play again." Because she said, "It has been such a long time since I got to play."
Mm.
And she was like a little kid again. And I loved that. I love that. And so what we want to do in terms of the game is not just move pieces around on the board and not just tell a story, but we want to allow people to play. Play again, the way we used to play. And that's why this dialogue was so much fun, because it was play. Just pure play.
Speak up, ham it up, have fun.
Speak up, ham it up, have fun. Play pretend for just a few minutes. Play pretend. And those are the kind of things that you want to look for. Those are the kind of elements I think that you're going to want to look for in terms of your design. Ways for people to play outside the board. And this
Just a bit of whimsy.
just a
It
bit of
doesn't
whimsy.
have to be a lot, but it's such an excellent spice.
Oh, okay. Okay, it was your turn. And we already moved it forward though, so you're done.
We gotta draw a good destiny.
You have to draw a good destiny card.
Okay. There we go.
Oh, you are big into combat.
Now you're the lead player.
And you are the lead player now.
All right.
You haven't moved yet.
No, yeah.
No, you did move. You haven't done story yet.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
That's right. You
Yeah.
are on the location.
Yeah, I'm on B.
Yeah.
Current registration. I'm so sorry. Roll the dice.
The check balance.
6.
6, and the current scene or current chapter is 3, so we're at 9. Ooh.
You win.
You drop a nice tip into a street player's cap. Karma is yours. Draw a good or chaos destiny card.
No, that's a bad one.
Yeah, well, good thing you get to toss it then, isn't it?
That's chaos.
That'll work. Small leaves, nice.
Cool.
Where did I end up? Oh, on somebody else's thing. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm on. I want to do something. Oh, yeah, hinder, fine. Yeah, I'll be able to slow somebody up. That's always good. Okay, you're a lead player, so you would.
Okay. 1. Okay, we'll go to there.
Wow,
Be
that
ready.
was exciting.
Oh,
Thank goodness it's not red.
And it's behind you.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, no.
4.
Okay. Hold on, let me see. Can you play more than one card?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nope, you have to skip the empty one.
Oh,
Skip
so
the-
4.
You could go up to the center.
And
you
then
do
Center
skip
and
the
then
empties.
Yeah.
Okay,
you
so-
Center C.
small league to
Yeah.
add 1.
You go here.
1, 2.
2, 3, 4.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yep. let's do that. Okay.
Am I helping you?
One has to be
We're
something
all
else.
learning.
Where am? Oh, I have to move still.
Back to the center.
Oh no, 6.
It's all right. You got one way up there. Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get the C. I'm going to C. Oh.
Smell like water?
You could go back.
Oh,
to
it's
green. You could go back to the center.
I'm not going back to the center. Hey, man, your move.
Alright.
Have a tendency to get stuck whenever you go that direction.
Yeah, it's so far not very good.
Ooh, I could go.
Oh, wait. Go to
2,
2,
3, 4. Oh, game. Yeah.
Yeah,
five.
Yeah.
5. Yeah. Yeah, do that.
Okay.
Because we should.
Isn't
Dual.
that valuable?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is good. This is good.
Dual.
Do I get that chip?
No, not
Not
yet.
yet.
I have to
Not
duel.
dual.
Only if you win.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a high roll.
High roll.
Uses combat.
High roll gets to choose who moves.
Yeah.
3, 2.
Dang it.
Now,
You
have
get
a
to
card
choose
that
who
you
moves.
Okay, I will let you move.
Oh,
Yes, I will. I'm a gentleman. I will. Go ahead.
Does she have a comeback card?
No, she has a
Two,
war card.
2, 3, 4, 5.
He's got 2 combat
Okay.
cards.
1,
What were we, 2 and 3 there?
No, we're 3, 3.
Oh,
Oh, 3, 3.
okay.
So you can move 1 or 2 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking 1, 2, 3. Oh,
You can go 3.
3,
Oh.
It might work
1,
out.
2, 3.
4. Can I go straight across from there to there?
No, but
Cost
for the
two,
combat,
yeah.
does she have to move the 1 or the 2 spaces for the
She
combat?
has to move 1 or 2 spaces.
I've
If it
got a
says
lore.
war,
I've got a
she's-
lore.
Oh, she's got the lore
Right.
she can add to it.
And
Yeah.
I can,
But
I
this,
can either
this
go
counts
2
as
or
a
3
space
spaces.
as well.
You can go 1 or 2 from the bump. And then you have to add from there.
1 or 2 from the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when
so
you're-
you go either 1 or 2, and then you play your
And then you
card.
can play your card and go 3.
Oh.
So you actually have a lot of choice from that.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
And this is why choice is bad.
Yeah.
So is the-
Okay.
Is that one blue or, is that one blue or
So I
green?
rolled a 2. Do I get the 2? Is that what it is?
No, the 2 is when you lose, or whoever moves from a challenge.
Right,
Gets to move 1 or 2 ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Do
Now
that.
you could move to
One,
A and then
two,
you'd be
three,
1 away
four,
from
five.
that one.
Oh, oh, oh.
You could actually.
No.
So you could move
I could go
two,
1.
right?
but-
Yeah, and then
Here we go.
3, 2, or 3.
I could
Yeah.
go 1 here,
One,
and then
one,
1,
2,
2, 3.
2, 3.
Well, yeah,
Wait,
either way.
Yeah, that works.
Either way, you're
Excellent.
one.
Yay! Okay.
That's a good move.
That's a good thought.
Now do I get that guy?
Well
Right,
done.
right. I have to wait.
Oh, I have to wait.
You have to wait.
Oh.
It's your turn.
In case
Because you
somebody
jam out,
else-
turn it
Oh,
over.
because I got kicked.
In
That
case
was the whole
somebody else
question.
comes and bumps
at the
you, yes.
Well, except that she's the last to move because you're lead player.
That's
Right.
right.
Turn the
So-
lead marker over.
Okay.
Now it's story.
Now it's story time.
So red is on blue, which is no good to you. You can take a destiny card if you wish.
Okay, I will take you this card. Kinder.
Yeah, it's interesting. We haven't had any tails yet.
No,
I've noticed a lot of times when I play through there, you went far between.
Okay.
You are.
So I can lift my token?
Yes.
Sweet.
Which is behind the chapter.
So
which
now
is-
we have Twisted Tail.
Now it's a twisted tail. So you take 2
Right.
twisteds
Okay.
and a tail.
And we want something epic here.
Yeah, we want
Aren't you
something
supposed to
really.
put the twisted
And you can
down before
adjust
see the
whatever
tail?
number,
Oh.
whatever order you want, right?
Yeah.
With the twisteds.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, you can.
Okay, now I want to see how
I'll
this
use the
works.
card here.
The twisted.
So
Oh, they go stack them.
like that, and then that one in between in the middle,
In the middle.
like that.
So that's,
Oh, yeah.
that's how you change the
There
story.
we go.
And you can see
Okay.
on our
Yes.
cards there. that-
Significant treachery.
Of disturbing portent.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Dun,
and
dun, dun.
It's,
So,
You have to roll a die.
no, not in this
Not on
game.
this one. Okay.
In this particular game, what you do is you add, I have
And
to,
that was part of the initial.
yeah, it says here, it says new rules.
That was an
Calculating the
hour ago.
twisted tails number. Replace this rule with the following. You add the following numbers together. The fate numbers shown on the card, that's 3 or 2, plus the current number of the chapter marker.
which is 3.
Five.
So that's 5. And that's how you do it.
So you're limiting the choices.
Yes, I am. But at the same time, what I'm doing is,
Well, it allows you to control your storyline.
it allows you to control the storyline better in the Twisted Tales. It also lets you, shift the bracket in terms of the Twisted Tales as the story progresses. So that if it's early in the story, you're only going to have the first, it's like 4, right? 5, it's actually 5. It's 4. It's 1 plus 0. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because it's 1 to 5 really is where the bracket is.
0, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Except you're always adding the number 1, which is the chapter.
Yeah.
So you always have a 1. However, you also need to remember this: Twisted Tale only takes place if someone's ahead of that.
You always have to be.
And so it'll always start with 2. Right? So,
Which means you'd have to write less Twisted Tales.
which means you get to write less Twisted Tales. Trust me, it's a good thing. So in this case, then, we have the 2 plus the 3, which is 5. So when we come into here, then, so go Twisted Tales, 0, 5, right? You stood in line for 3 hours to be the first into Will Wheaton's Q&A session. Now, some convention volunteers moved the location to a different room. Chaos or a bad destiny.
Boy, that's treachery, all right.
That is
Absolutely brutal.
Chaos.
That'll work. So we meet again. That's actually a good part. Volunteer. I like that. Where am I?
Go forget.
Not anywhere good. I'm on green. Great. I get that. Cursed. No. 14. Okay.
That's the one that moves you to
That
somebody else's location. That was the one we drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was how we ended up together. Yeah.
Okay. Now you get to pick up your phone.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. And we get to do another Twisted Tale. So
Okay.
take 2 Twisteds and a tail.
And
Lay them out first and then
So
take
in
the
this
tail.
one, Tracy,
And now you can put them right here.
Yeah.
See?
Ah,
So
And they'll
Oh,
line
yeah,
up
okay.
clever.
makes sense.
it's
Okay.
completely on the card.
Nice, yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So what do we do with
So-
these when we're done?
When you're done,
You
we
just
discard.
And then a tail. Okay.
so you're only using the
A
twisted
conclusion.
portions for the number counting purposes. Is
So
that what did I get that right?
The
We added
Right.
2 twisted numbers.
You add
Yeah.
the 2 twisted numbers. Well, there's 3 actually. In this particular case, for example, what does it read?
Okay, so we got what, 91?
91.
Yeah, so 91.
So you
Yeah,
only
it's a zero.
read the numbers that are on the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
91
it's a disturbing
plus 3 is
conclusion
94.
of little significance.
Is it-
94.
Okay, so. I'm not-
So yes,
Yeah.
what you were saying before is true.
Twisted Tales. 90.
It's just that numbers. The tails part is what.
You deduce that while the markers and the cosplayers may not help your game stats in Real Dragon, they will be valuable assets in terms of distraction and misdirection. Draw a good destiny card.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
well then.
There you go. Now,
Is
Twisted
that a good
Tales.
one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That's
good.
a good one.
Yeah, that was the same question I
Twisted
read.
Tales are a lot like community chest.
Right.
Or chance cards.
Uh-huh.
They don't, I mean, there is a certain element, because of the way we have it in this adventure, they do run the bracket up, which means that they do follow story to a certain extent, but they don't impact story, and so they're like side stories, side events, right? Okay. And so you need to remember that they don't directly impact the story, but they're scenes that take place peripheral to the story.
Kind of a slice.
Okay.
Yes, they add a bit of they add a bit of spice.
So does the Tails card run from 0 to 90 by 10s?
The Tails cards are bracketed in tens.
Okay.
Very very. The Twisted Tail cards are bracketed in tens. Although because of the way it's structured now, right?
So you're
What you have
you're
is
moving that counter thing in each decade.
Yes, within each decade.
Right.
So there are 10 basic groups. Betrayal is like the 0 group. Okay. And in fact, there's on the website in the design section, it tells you what those 10 groups basically are thematically, so that you'll know basically the theme involved that relates to the cards conceptually. Now, one of our stretch goals is, of course, genre-specific cards, and that's so that the description on the cards is more genre-specific, but it'll still follow those same basic structural elements. That their color will be a little bit different, but they will still follow those same. There's still going to be a trap section. There's still going to be a realization revelation section. There's still going to be a betrayal section. Okay, and no matter what the cards actually read. So, and in this structure, then, because they all start at 2, essentially, because you're always going to have a minimum of 2, because you're always going to be at chapter 2 by the time you have a twisted tale. So it essentially is 2 plus 4, which is 6, and then you're only going to go up another 4 from there.
So these are all 0 through 4.
They're all 0 to 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. The tails cards are in the 10 blocks, right? 0, 10, 20, 30,
Right.
40, 50. The twisted cards are 0 to 2. And you're not going to have a twisted tale when somebody gets to 5.
Right.
Because
They won.
Yeah.
So it's 6 plus 4, and that's where you get to the brackets. The brackets up.
Stepping them up.
Yeah, setting them up. Now, I wanted to, if somehow we had gone to 95, because I read ahead. Okay, if your twisted tale had been 95, it would have read this. Oh, please. Everyone knows that the best science fiction movie ever was. Tell each player they must choose a science fiction movie and make an argument within 30 seconds of why it's the best ever made.
Oh, I love
my
those.
God.
That was awesome.
Okay. Now then, roll a die.
Okay.
Okay. Let's just try this. I want to see how this is. Okay. What is it?
Star Wars.
Why?
Because it's not just science fiction, it's space opera. It's got princesses, it's got magic in the way of the Force, it's got knights in shining armor, except they're not in armor, which is even cooler. So they've got laser guns, they've got evil overlords. That's the classic tale of good and evil.
I'm totally going to say that's 30 seconds.
I need to be using that.
Yeah, we're going to be using this. It's got to be Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet is the most awesome, cool science fiction movie. It was like one of the first science fiction movies that was ever done. It's got the first appearance of Robbie the Robot. Granted, his career went downhill after that, but it was awesome to see him in that particular film. It's got Leslie Nielsen. How can you go wrong with Leslie Nielsen in a science fiction movie? I mean, seriously. And Earl Hallman playing a Texan in space. Oh yeah, absolutely, it's perfect. It's also got Anne Francis and Hay. So is she ever hot, especially in the swimsuit? Okay.
So
Yeah.
we all do.
Yeah. What's the best science fiction movie ever?
Iron Sky.
Iron Sky.
Nazis on the moon. Come
Yeah.
on. So they beat us there. They're, helium-3. They're mining. I don't know. I'm really bad at this. It's still my favorite. I mean, because, oh my gosh, it just turns everything on its head. And then there's that whole scene there with the whole Charlie Chaplin for, 15 seconds of Charlie Chaplin. And then she finds out that it's actually like a 3-hour movie and that it's actually Hitler as bad guy. And oh my gosh. And then her clothes get blown off.
That's true. Sadly, time. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go for Forbidden Planet too, for all the reasons that you did, but also because the first time I watched it when I was in junior high, it terrified me so much when that invisible creature was coming up, but I went to the bathroom and I didn't actually see the whole movie until years later.
The monster
It was
from the
great.
pit.
Really
Yes.
scary.
Okay, now, what did you roll?
I forget. 3.
A 3? Hey, the winner is the movie that was made closest to 1970.
77%.
Yes, absolutely. So you would win. You would win that particular challenge.
Interesting.
So,
And so, and what was the challenge was to move or to, because it was a twisted tail.
it was a twisted tail. So the result from the twisted tail is whoever then chose that, and the winner draws.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah,
Yeah.
winner,
That which should be you, and you draw 2 destiny cards. Again, this is game outside the game, and interaction between people, and dialogue between people, and getting people to talk to each other. One of the great benefits of a board game is that there's somebody on the other side of the table that you can talk to.
Unless it's you in the basement.
Unless it's you in your basement, yeah, in which case, it's Star Wars. I win. Oh, that's so pathetic.
No, then you have to think of 2 and argue against.
And argue against each other, that's right. In which case, oh, I was wrong. Okay.
Multiple personality disorder.
And now it's bad. We need to stop. Now we need to take a break, and we've got more to come. When we reconvene here, I actually want to take you to the level 4 encounters in this game, so that you can see how the end condition runs in this game. Okay. And then we're going to move on to the discussion of your work and what you're working on, and how best we can get you to the point where you can get it produced. So let's go ahead and take a break. We'll reconvene here at 6:30. Okay, we'll launch again at 6:30. In the meantime, why don't you go ahead and go have something to eat? There are lots of places around here for that.
Yep.
What did you suggest, man?
Oh, they've got really good burgers at the break, and nachos and all kinds of stuff.
I haven't. Where's that?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple. Yeah, there's Soda Row. There's Soda Row. There's a couple of great restaurants on Soda Row. If you go down 106 down here, there's a Costa Vida down there. There's a Pizza Hut down there. If you go down to 114th, the district, there are a lot of places down at the district. So why don't we just break for dinner, and we'll plan on launching again here at 6:30. Run this end condition for you, so you can see that, and give some thought. Now that we've worked through this, I'm sure you've got questions at this point in terms of your own game and how you want to implement it. Give some thought to that over dinner. If you suddenly want to get together and talk about this, please do. And we'll see you guys here again at 6:30. That sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. This was a really good session. I had fun. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't get to play my game that much. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in about an
Hour and a little bit.
hour and a little bit.
Well, I'm ahead, so I win.
Oh, man. I was catching up. I really was.
You don't even have one yet.
Come on. I was stuck in the middle.
if anybody wants to drive, I'll drive. I've got 3 seats if you guys want to go together for any place or meet up
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's one of the benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for joining a group.
Sure, I'll join you too.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I've got a seat. We get the front seat because it's got short back seat.
Okay.